here, what I'm looking for here is matching
Mm-hmm.
our tone size. So I'm just playing around right now to see how much I want to get in. So why don't you start talking? See if you can match this.
Match your tone. Oh, not even close. Does this mean that this needs to be closer to my mouth? I need to be louder.
Maybe louder.
There we go.
Let me see. Can I turn it? All right. Talk like you're going to be talking.
Yeah. Like when I get really excited, I think I can come at this pitch.
That one?
Come in. Yeah, at
What
this
happens when you're
pitch.
really bored?
I guess it gets a little bit more lower. Not as loud. Not as loud.
See, now we
Yeah,
got
when
it.
I get in a jam, then I definitely get louder.
Yeah, see now we're really starting to get there. So I think if anybody's going to hear this sound, it's going to sound really good.
Okay.
And yeah, laughing is okay. So I think with your mic right there and my mic right here, I think we're in business.
Oh, green light.
Green light?
We're in business.
Cool. Hey Ash,
Hey.
what's going on?
Hola. Everything's good over here. What's going on over there?
You sure?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good.
Cool. See, we're just playing around. Just like
Serious
that.
fun time.
Serious fun time.
Time to have some serious fun.
What are you serious about right now?
You know, I think if you would have asked me this question a couple days ago, it would have been a different answer. But right now, because of the book that I'm reading, the most authentic thing that I'm serious about is cutting through the crap of my mind.
Mm. Mm. And why is that so different from 3 days ago?
Because I think 3 days ago I didn't realize how much of that was actually present, how much crap was actually present, and then it was kind of brought into my awareness that there's a lot of stuff going on.
Isn't it pretty crazy how you can study something for your majority of your adult life and then read something that just disintegrates your belief system right out from underneath you?
Changes everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to have that stuff out there. I'm definitely very grateful for it. It's necessary.
Well, you've made the choice to take some things out of your life recently.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah. Yeah. I've taken some major things out of my life actually that have been huge, huge parts of my life. Well, I took out my career. We could start there. It feels like a pretty big one. And as I say career, it's funny because we've been playing around with the word profession. So it's like I haven't taken out my profession. I'm still very much a therapist, but I've taken out the career in terms of working for corporate America, working for Kaiser, and getting rid of that system career in that sense.
Yeah. And like I think about so if you played a sport, like a major sport, your career would be the length of time you were in the profession. But you might play for a different team over the course of the career. So all you did was in a choice.
I changed teams.
You changed teams on purpose.
I'm playing for my own team now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that like?
It's a little scary. It's a little scary for sure. And I'm still in the beginning stages, right? I've only been playing for my own team for about a month. I guess now it's been about three and a half-ish weeks. So it's still new, so it feels a little bit scary having the security of the old team, having the establishment of the old team, and kind of having to create these things for yourself is there's a little bit of fear attached to it. But bigger than the fear is definitely the excitement of playing for your own team and all the possibility and all the opportunity that comes with that.
Yeah.
But I think it takes a little while, right, before you can kind of before you see these things manifest and they become tangible.
Well, where was your life a year ago?
A year ago, let's see, I was working for Kaiser Permanente.
Yeah.
And I was living in Burlingame, California. So the second thing that I've changed in my life is where I live in my lifestyle. So I was living in Burlingame. I'm from the Bay Area. I've been in the Bay Area my whole life. And specifically a year ago, I was at my place that I had been in for 7 years up until September 14th.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so a year ago, you're thinking about leaving. You don't have this idea yet. Like,
I was definitely thinking about leaving.
How long have you been setting that up?
I had been to Thailand in April of last year, and that changed. That was a game changer for me. That changed everything. I was like, whoa, paradigm shift, mind reset. Do I want to stay in this one place? I'm from the Bay. Great. Maybe that's part of like how I, like part of my identity, part of how I recognize myself. But also, I can choose to become a global citizen. I can choose to become more remote, become more mobile. And so, April last year was when I kind of had this like perspective shift and hey, I want to change some things in my life, and that's when that pursuit really started, and I started trying to like break that down.
One of my favorite quotes is from a woman named Pilgrim, and she her mission in life by the time she named herself or became named Peace Pilgrim is she would walk back and forth across the United States. It was like a pilgrimage for peace.
Wow.
And that's what she did. And the thing that she said that was so profound to me was that there was 15 years between the knowing and the doing.
15 years.
So it's like she had this inclination, this intuition, this inner knowing that she was going to need to go on this pilgrimage. She had that, and before she could put it into action was 15 years.
Why did it take so long?
Well, tell me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it feels like it didn't take that long. I feel like that's pretty.
That's what I'm getting
accelerated.
at. That is what I'm pointing out here.
Yeah.
Is that being able to take this feeling and put it into action takes a lot of courage. I'm curious, how much is the dynamic of the way that 2020 has unfolded played into that for you?
Well, 2020 I think it's been a huge change for a lot of people. How has that played into it? Well, my lifestyle was changed, not because I had chosen it, because of the pandemic. And I didn't like that. And so kind of having these outside forces come in and tell me how I can or can't live my life certainly squeezed me to a point where it's like, okay, I really need to take action now. I really need to get in control and change some things for myself. And that definitely sped up that process for me. I mean, there were also a couple other things that happened for me in 2020. I went to Costa Rica in January, and I spent about a month out there, and that also just added to the fire of like, yeah, I need to like not have one stable location, not be from one area. Like I want to be a global citizen. I want to be from a lot of different areas. So that sped up that process and was part of 2020. So there were some personal things that had happened for me. Also, my grandma passed away in April, and that definitely brought some other perspectives and brought some other shifts for me online. But as far as like current events, political events, the pandemic, all these other things, it pushed.
I think one thing that's common in your story, and to me, this is a really great byproduct of what's been happening. There's lots of negative byproducts that have been very clear and obvious, but some of the positive byproducts is that a lot of people that were on the border, on the edge of like really stepping into their true gifts, have really shown up in 2020 and have noticed that because so much of the system that we were participating in was outside of our influence, when we reach a critical point like this, where the system kind of comes to a halt, you realize, oh shit, I wasn't actually piloting my own life as much as I thought I was.
Yeah.
Because all they have to do is turn the switch off.
Right.
And then I'm in big trouble.
And then I hit a big left. And I didn't even choose that left.
Yeah. And it's just something that so many people have been experiencing this year. Again, not discounting the negative impacts, because those are obvious. We talk about those every day. They're in the news every day. But some of the positive impacts is that I've met more people that were thinking about doing something that did it this year.
Yeah.
And something about the process of COVID and all the dynamics that have unfolded in our culture, in our society, because of that, it accelerated all of this growth and change in people that has been so beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful. It is beautiful to watch that, for the people that have chosen to take it in that direction. And I think that those people had to make a choice, and that's why I was so courageous, right? To make a choice to do that versus retreat to what you've kind of already been maybe conditioned or subscribing to, submitting to the whole time.
Yeah.
I think some people kind of submitted further to that notion, and like there's a lot of, like you were saying, negative impacts. Like those impacts kind of became worse. I mean, I definitely know, having, working in my field, working in mental health, see how that's become more exacerbated. Like the depression's become worse, the anxiety's become worse.
Yes.
And it's because people have been pushed into more of they're being controlled more.
Yes.
They're submitting more.
Yes.
They're yeah, just going by what's being fed to them.
Yeah.
There's definitely a percentage of the population that's doing that, but it is a very beautiful thing to see other people that have taken it and done the opposite, right?
Yeah.
Contrasted that and been able to like step into, okay, well, I can either submit further, or I can step out of all of the submission maybe that I've been subscribing to for a very long time, because it's completely apparent, completely blatant in my face,
Yeah.
and jump off the cliff.
Well, a lot of what's happening is that, it's like there were people that had no choice in their say of what they were doing, right? Like when this happens, they were let go, and they didn't have a say in being able to keep their profession. Not everybody was able to shift to a digital platform where they could do their job digitally. So, and that's true. And we also haven't been taught how to be resilient, and we haven't been taught how to be adaptable in something like this time.
Because we've been dependent?
Yes.
Because we've been so dependent.
And we've been taught to get the answer right, or to not get it wrong. And if everybody's telling you, hey, this is the right answer, this is what you need to do, we've been taught to follow the rules.
Somebody's been giving us the right answer.
Correct. And it's not to say that mechanism didn't have an intention, didn't have even an altruistic intention. By implementing certain systems, we can help keep the system on the rails, so to speak. So a lot of these are built in good things. What I'm getting at is that with you and more people like you, it's like we had like an exponential jump in people that were doing like entrepreneurship of some kind.
Yeah.
It was like we hit like this moment where it was like a factor shift. What I have experienced and what I believe to be true is, especially when it comes to like being autonomous in your work and being autonomous in your life, the more people that do it, the more people are going to jump on.
Yeah, it's inspiring. I mean, I've had a lot of people kind of comment on, I've been posting this on my social media and Instagram, and I've had a lot of people reach out and say, keep on going, you're inspiring me. And I think that it's inspiring because, and inspiring is an interesting word. I think it's comforting to see somebody kind of step into that fear and not, at least not yet, like burn, right? Or completely like crack because of it. Like what's on the other side of that? I think that stepping into that is courageous, and it's inspiring for people to see you do that, and that helps push them into it. And it's like, you're going to be okay. It's going to be okay if you do that. Look here, I'm here and I'm doing this, and it's okay. Whatever the fear was that was present for you before, maybe it's not real, or it's not as bad, or it's definitely something that you can entertain.
Well, another thing that I know to be true is that we come to temperature with people that we're around. So if somebody has provided the proof that it's possible, then other people can rise into it. The common fitness one is like the 4-minute mile. People believe that it wasn't humanly possible to run a 4-minute mile, and then one person does it, another person does it, and now there are high schoolers in track these days that can run a sub 4-minute mile.
Wow.
So it was
kids.
right. There's some insanely fast kids, right? But the point is that it's
wouldn't have
common.
Been fast if nobody had set that precedence, or
it wouldn't have been possible had somebody not done that. And so that's what I mean. For every person that steps up into that new level, they have a social network of some kind. They have influence, whether it's just in their immediate family, whether it's in their friend group. They have enough trust built into their communal group that when they do that, it gives permission and a proof that other people can do that too.
And proof. Well, yeah, I mean, permission. I think about permission, and I get super curious because I think that, it's a big concept for me to think that, like, I'm giving permission. I'm giving permission to those people, and it's like I want people to give that permission to themselves. And it would be nice if a lot of people had more access to that permission, or more of a belief that more of a knowledge that they can give themselves permission. It's easier than you think.
Well, it's hard for us to live into an image that we can't hold space for in our mind. So if we have nobody around us that sets an example, a lot of times we can't live into it. It takes an inspirational and exceptional few to step into a reality that is far exceeding the reality that they're in. There's like making it a few extra notches
Right.
You know, and then there's like rapidly seeing that. So that's what visionaries are. The reason that we call them visionaries is because they're able to hold a vision of the future, and they believe it so much down that they're able to create it. But if they don't have that vision first, they don't have the permission. And I guess permission, we could break that word apart. Really what I mean is like seeing someone do it makes it available. And so that's what I mean by giving permission. It's that, oh, I now know that this is possible, so I can give myself permission. Let's say it like that.
Planting seeds for their vision.
Yes. That to me has been the biggest, like I said, the biggest upgrade in the 2020 experience has been more people stepping into that. And because of the tools that we have available to us, like social media, again, yes, social media, especially right now, especially the way that, you know, we're coming to learn how they use our information. We're coming to learn a little bit more about how we're customers on their platform. I get all that. And one of the things that it has really done is that it's made other people's stories more approachable, more real, more tangible, and more accessible.
More accessible.
Yes.
Yeah, it's now I open up my feed and I can see these visionaries doing their visionary things, and my vision becomes closer, or I start creating a vision for myself.
Yeah, and maybe not with Facebook, but especially with Instagram, like you don't have to follow so much stuff. You know, part of the thing is like the scroll, right? Well, maybe you had an intentional 5 follows.
Yeah.
You know, where you're following only 5 accounts because those things are contributing to your growth, your development, all those things. Again, there's so much like personal responsibility that's being left out of social media.
Yeah, and I wonder how much of a conscious process that is for people too, right? Like, you know, knowing that what you follow, right, is actually stuff that is actively influencing you in what you're seeing.
Totally, and that's why it's very valuable to be choosy what you're letting into your space. You know, back when Facebook started, it was about friends and sharing fun little stories and having our own little social groups, and it was just a place for us to hang out. And it's evolved as more people have jumped on the platform. It's developed a new space in our culture, but nobody seems to even really describe the fact that you can just get rid of your account and call your friend.
Yeah.
Or text your friend.
Yeah.
There's email your
Good
friend.
old days.
There's all these other different channels around these things, and so it doesn't make sense to me that we're actually arguing so much about how much Facebook's using our information. Get the fuck off.
Yeah.
You know, just get off the platform.
You have that choice.
You have that choice. And we haven't talked about this, but we talked about it with Mike the other day on the night, but we are in election season, so we're voting. Okay, great. While voting is a very impactful and important social tool, it is not the only tool we have as citizens.
In order to
vote for what we believe in.
Vote for what we believe in.
I vote with my dollars in the economy. I bought these headsets.
Right.
These headsets won my dollars. I voted for these headsets.
Yeah.
I voted for this laptop. I voted for that water, that spring water that I got. I voted for that with my dollars. And so much of what we are missing is that the way that we influence our culture and our society has way less to do with who we vote for every 4 years, every 2 years, and more to do with how we show up and vote with our attention and time every day.
Yeah.
And that's where it's a voting process that's happening constantly. And I believe, and that's why we're having this conversation, for Christ's sake.
That people should be more aware
that they
of how
can be more aware. That they maybe aren't even aware that they are voting with their dollars.
I don't think that they are.
Yeah, well, hopefully they're waking up to that now because you vote with your attention. You vote with your attention. You vote with your dollars. Yeah. So if you're buying this type of food versus that type of food,
spend your time and you pay your attention.
You buy yourself a 12-pack of beer every week or cigarettes every so often. You're voting for that instead of something else.
Right, and it's interesting, and we're voting for that just like we vote for the president to be in control. To do his things for the country. When we vote for these things on I don't want to say, maybe a more simplistic level in a day-to-day kind of interaction type thing, like you voting for your laptop, you voting for these things. I wonder you know, what are we actually voting for? We're voting for them to have more control. Like, what does the vote actually mean? Like, we're voting for president to put them in a position of power. So when I'm voting for this laptop, what am I doing? When I'm voting for this headset, what am I doing? I'm voting for them to occupy my life, for them to stay in control, for them to make decisions for me.
Decisions maybe not for you. You've made the decision by giving them your dollars that you say, I support how you've shown up in the market. Hey, you make a good product. And because you make a good product and because that's what I care about, I'm giving you that vote.
Yeah, so you have my vote. You have my support
Correct.
to stay in
my life.
Power.
Yeah, to influence my life.
To stay in my life.
Yeah, and but I'm also not letting Sennheiser like influence my inbox. I don't subscribe to their newsletter. I don't subscribe to their Twitter. I don't give a shit what they think about the culture.
Well, you're on their email list, yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. They're getting in there somehow.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, I unsubscribe
or they're selling it to someone. I don't know how people do business with information these days.
Or what they're doing with your vote. What they're doing with your dollar. Like what they're doing with that. If they're choosing to get more followers, get more consumers.
So this is an interesting story, and I'm relating it to you, and you'll know exactly why. A few years ago, there was a lot of controversy around ChickfilA because the CEO of ChickfilA or the president of ChickfilA had donated money to a religious institution that was very like LGBTQ. Okay, and so people were all in a muck about that, and I'm like, they were wanting to get this guy removed. When it's like, just don't vote for him.
Yeah, don't buy those waffle fries.
Don't go to ChickfilA.
Put the waffle fry down.
And like, look, I'm not saying if they're discriminating in their hiring practice, which would be against the law, then do that.
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll have that conversation. Yeah. But if they're not breaking the law, then just go, oh, I don't agree with them, so I don't give them my vote. And the way I'm not going to go vote for them is I'm not going to give them my dollars, and I'm going to talk to my friends and say, hey, if by giving them your dollars, you're voting for this type of culture.
But that takes so much research.
Yes.
It takes so much research and time. And to have to know, like, each and every financial decision that I make, I believe that it's responsible, and I personally would love to have this kind of knowledge where I'm putting my vote towards and what that means on a larger level. But the amount of time that would take, and the amount of the levels that I would have to go to in order to research that and to find that out and to ensure that it's I think it's responsible, and I like it, and I am more conscious of that as I go about my life. But is it realistic?
You can't do that with everything.
Right.
You can't do that with everything. You can only do that with you. People have limited time and attention. And where we choose to spend our time and attention and where somebody else chooses to spend their time and attention do not have to be the same place. And if that's something that you're passionate about, be passionate about that.
Yeah.
And leave the room for the other sovereign human being to say, hey, I respect and honor your commitment and passion towards this thing.
Yeah.
And I'm really committed and passionate about this thing over here.
Yeah.
And, I ask for your forgiveness, or I want to still have a good relationship with you despite the fact that I'm not going to treat this issue as importantly as you treat it.
Yeah.
And it seems like the more that we have found our people on social media, the conversation is about you create your own echo chamber, because then you're only talking to people that are echoing back what you want to hear. And so that has that's awesome, because it allows some cultures and communities to form that aren't normally available to you a little bit if you're doing it in like a in-person community. That's why the internet's so awesome. And one of the byproducts is if you're only then interacting in that circle socially and digitally, then you're only ever getting feedback that affirms your position
from
within
that circle.
That's exactly right.
Well, and it's a good point, and definitely relevant to like COVID and the changes that I've made in my life, because I have realized that I was putting my time and my attention towards a system that I didn't want to be a part of. And I had subscribed to that because of security and because of safety and because, I felt like that's what I should do. Like in any person within their normal mind, Kaiser's a great job. Like, it's a good job. Why not? It's a great salary. Like, people retire from there. It's 401k. People are like, oh my God, you made it. And so according to some people's ideals, maybe what they would have voted for, they would have subscribed to. Like, I had it made. I had my own place in the Bay Area. I got this career. that I can retire from. And I just had, like, with all the events of this year, had this epiphany, especially with the passing of my grandmother. Like, these situations cause you to reflect on what it is that you're choosing to do with your life. Where is it that I'm paying my time and paying my attention? So, spending my time, paying my attention. So, I realized that I was part of the system that I didn't want to support, that I didn't want to be putting my vote towards. And yeah, that was one of the reasons why I got out, because mental health there is not a great, it's not the greatest department there. It's handled pretty poorly, and it's not prioritized. And so it was a system that I just didn't want to be a part of, and I realized how much time and attention.
Your values and the values of the company you were working with, the department you were working with, weren't in alignment, and you chose to vote and spend your time and attention elsewhere.
Yeah.
And the way that you did that is by putting yourself in a position to have more sovereignty and autonomy over your experience.
Right.
And, again, I want to emphasize that not everyone is in a position to make that choice yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's privileged.
Totally. There is a level of privilege to it,
yeah.
without question.
Yeah. The pandemic and me being a therapist, it's a privilege for me to be able to provide services online.
And it's also a privilege for those people to receive that care, because they have access to the tools to do that, and they have access to the resources to do that.
Yeah.
And so it certainly has highlighted privilege of all kinds in this year. And again, that's why I'm so optimistic is partially the word, but I'm so grateful that so many people are stepping into it, because we need it so much, because it's so needed.
I want to believe that you don't necessarily have to be I do think that there is privilege, definitely, that what we're talking about, and it's a privileged lifestyle to get to live and to get to do that and to get to, like, advance or evolve into, like, a digital space. But I mean, are there not other opportunities? Has the pandemic created only a society that's only online?
No.
There's other opportunities outside of the online space, the internet space, where maybe people that sadly have lost their job, but can still live in alignment, can still find that like authentic space.
Especially if people that are able to do that are able to hold space for them and reach out a lending hand. Part of what has happened so much in our evolution as a culture in the U.S. is that, like, the more and more things are becoming about, like, let's just say the federal or national level, we then have kind of delegated, or what do you call it when you when you send a job elsewhere, export it. No, that's not the word. Oh, man.
Export, when you outsource.
Outsource, thank you. We've outsourced a certain level of community to the national system, whereas before it was, I mean, look, I still live in a place that has a very small town feel. You're never very many degrees of separation away from someone. But one thing that I have noticed is that in the last 10 years, neighbor interaction has gone way down. The amount that you go over and knock on your neighbor's door and talk to them and ask them how they're doing and hear about their kids and hear about their dogs and hear about how everything is in their life, really the only place that seems to happen is church. We've chosen, people have chosen their church community or at work, but I see a lot less neighbor interaction. And to me, it's a reflection of outsourcing our connection to the internet. Because we're now able to connect with people on the internet, we've outsourced this experience to a digital platform, and we're not getting that knock on your door. Do you have any sugar?
The definition of connection has changed, right?
Yes.
Connection is not an in-person thing necessarily anymore. You can stay at home, be completely isolated in your room, and go online and get quote-unquote connection with other people and connect to people that way.
Yeah, but it's like travel, right? Like, you can see pictures of, say, the Eiffel Tower. You can see pictures of that Thailand beach, on the internet. That's what's great, is that we can see and have access to knowing that it's possible.
Right, but what does that prevent?
But that's not a substitute for being in Thailand. It's not a substitute
that prevents the in-person.
That's exactly. Well, if you're assuming that there apples to apples, that they're the same thing, as opposed to a gateway to a more in-depth experience.
Yeah.
If you think that your connection with someone on social media isn't somehow a substitute for that person that you could go and hang out with next door,
Yeah.
it's not that you have to be one or the other. It's that they're all available. The more that we outsource that connection to a digital platform, we're missing some biology.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
connection, there's social nourishment that comes from physical touch.
Yeah.
And of course, this 2020 has highlighted that you know, when we remove that ability to be physical, we remove that physical touch or that physical presence and seeing and taking in someone's nest in 3 dimensions, that we are losing a certain amount of nourishment. And you're seeing
you can't
that.
replace that with any kind of online activity.
No.
And I definitely don't think it's apples to apples. I definitely crave that in person. I think that it's a nice development that was made to help it can improve lives, right? The social media, the access, the technology, but I definitely don't think it's a replacement for the in-person. I definitely value the in-person. I remember a point in time where last year when I did this little experiment where I was just wanted to be present. I wasn't like, I was dabbled in my social media. I did my social media thing. It was here and there, but I very much crave the in-person thing. And so what I was doing is I every single person that I would come across, I would make eye contact with them and just kind of be present with them. If I was just walking my dog on the street, if I was getting my groceries and I was like interacting with the cashier, every single person that I came across and I interacted with, I wanted to like connect with on a human to human level and make eye contact with. And it was surprising and so shocking to me to see how many people didn't know what to do with that eye contact.
Oh yeah.
A little sad, but like, wow, also I have opportunity here to like create a space and to try and promote that and to try and influence that and impact that. Some people, I'd be walking on the street and I would just like make eye contact and say hi to them, and they'd be like maybe in their phone or just like not even looking, like trying to avoid me, right? We all like come across that person. You're walking towards each other and it's like, oh, who's going to make eye contact? Are we going to look away from each other? And there's that awkwardness. But I just stood firm in my eye contact. And I'm like, yeah, I'm here. Yeah, you're here. Like, let's connect. Let's have a very human interaction. We don't have to avoid each other. And it made a lot of people uncomfortable. I would see kind of like the shock in their face, like, oh, they're looking at me. It's almost like, what's wrong? Like, what's wrong? Is there what's on the other end of this? Like, why are you looking at me?
Why am I being seen?
Why am I being seen? Right?
Yeah.
Why is this not just like some robotic interaction? We're just passing each other, right? Because I get my connection from somewhere else, maybe.
And that well, not maybe, that what we've been learning as technology has evolved and integrated more thoroughly into our life is that we're losing some very basic human interaction skills. And I'm seeing it in adults, but adults of a certain age and below. You know, if you're a certain age or above and you don't make eye contact, this is like, say you were, 40, 50 years old when the internet came online, now you're 70 and you still can't make eye contact, right? Like that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about
it's not an intellectual developmental thing.
The average human being now, I've watched 3 younger brothers from, now 19 to 14 grow up, and part of what I've felt compelled to do is really teach them, hey, this is why we look people in the eyes, and this is part of a human experience, and that if you spend all of your time on this world where you can express your personality without being seen, you're missing a connection to being able to express your personality while being seen. Because I've noticed that when other people are around, they're really shy, but when they're talking to their friends on,
Oh yeah, all the social anxiety.
Yeah.
All the social anxiety. I've definitely worked with some adolescents and their parents are like, look, we've put her on a 3-hour-a-day limit with the phones, with the computers, and there's all this social anxiety. And the parents are having problems because the adolescents just can't take it.
Yeah.
They just can't take it.
They can't take it. They can take it, but let's just talk about what's happening. The parents are voting for that experience. Who gave that kid that phone? Who gave that kid that laptop?
Right.
Okay, now look, you're going to say, but everybody, Brooks, everybody's doing it. Oh, what? How old do I have to go into the coffer to say, well, if somebody goes and jump off a bridge, would you jump right behind them? Like we have things, we have
yeah, and
explanations for
there's
all
a
this.
balance here, right? Like we definitely need to evolve. Like this is an evolution.
3 hours on a phone?
This is an yeah, right. And you need to know
that's
you
the
need to know how
limit?
to use a phone. You need to know how to use a computer.
Completely agree
Where's
with that.
the boundaries?
Yes.
We are evolving as a species.
Totally.
Technology is evolving. Like there's a
Yes.
certain amount of this I think that's necessary. Like I'm not saying let's toss out all the technology and the phones and the
Completely agree.
screens. Like there's a certain like realistic, right? We need to be
Yes.
realistic. We still need to exist and function.
Yeah. And if school's going to be on a laptop, okay, fine. They're going to need to learn how to use a laptop. I'm not
Yeah.
opposed to that. But it's like
Where's the balance?
Yeah.
Where's the harmony? Where's that we can function and live in this society and have this knowledge and engage with this technology in this way, but also
have a
I
conversation
can sit with my
your
friends
children.
and not need to be on my phone and look you in your eye and express myself and know what feelings are coming up and communicate, have these interpersonal skills, right? Be effective in my communication, be effective in my interpersonal skills.
But the thing is, it only takes one generation, maybe two, to really create a massive shift because it takes one, if my little brother grows up not knowing how to make eye contact, and now let's just say it's a 50-50 thing. Well, the next round of children that are going to get up that don't, they now 50% of the population now no longer has a model for what that looks like. And that might increase the number. And all it takes is 2 or 3 generations. We've lost our ability.
Scary
It is
thought.
scary. It is scary. And that's why I'm so,
That is a
that's why I'm
scary
intentional
thought.
with this conversation.
Yeah.
Is because we take it for granted that this stuff is just hardwired into us or that it's just going to take care of itself. And it's
no,
not.
it has to be cultivated. It has to be
On
nurtured. It has to be
purpose.
practiced.
That's
yeah.
exactly right.
Definitely.
And like whether it's sex education and parents not wanting to talk to their children about sex, whether it's again like these social issues that we're talking about, or it's just the internet itself is not the world. It's an extension of what's possible in our world.
The internet is not the world.
It's not.
That's a profound statement.
It's not the world.
It's not the world.
Yeah.
For some people, it is the world.
It's that is the if I'm gonna
Gamers.
psychosis. That's the psychosis is that it's the world.
The psychosis that is the world.
It's like the belief that it is the world is the
delusional.
delusion.
It's a delusional belief.
Right. And it's easy to get lost in the delusion if no one teaches you that it's a delusion. How could you know something that you've never been taught?
So how do we teach that it's a delusion? I mean, I think me personally speaking, answering my own question, I teach through eye contact, through talking to the cashier,
Totally.
versus them just ringing stuff up,
Is
making
exactly
that
right.
human, right? By being exemplary,
Yes.
by embodying these things,
Correct.
right? That's how I like to influence.
Because it gives people permission to step into that too.
Wow. Full circle. Good
But we're
job.
not done, baby. We're not done.
Good job.
Okay, because I'm having fun.
Serious fun.
I'm having serious
Hello.
fun.
Not just fun.
Yeah,
Serious.
serious fun. Serious period fun period. Serious fun. It's
Cosine.
double
Serious
entendre.
fun here too.
So, Ashley,
Yo.
what do you do for fun? This is a three. It's 3 questions, but it's really one bigger topic. The topic is fun. What do you do for fun? What's your relationship to fun? How has that changed in your life? Like, well, how do you use fun now? So, what do you do and why do you do it?
Yeah.
And how has that changed over your life?
What do I do and how do I do it? Fun. I mean, when I think of fun, I think of traveling. Why do I like traveling? Why do I think that's fun? Because I get to see new places. I get to experience new things. I get to jump into new cultures. I get to learn. So I love, I mean, even just this year, I've been to more states in the U.S. than I ever have been in my whole life. So just traveling, getting to see new places, doesn't have to be these crazy exotic places, but traveling, getting to see new places, getting to see new cultures, just new ways that people live. That's fun for me. That's fun for me. Dance is fun for me. Love dance. Self-expression. I think that's why that feels so much. That feels so fun. There's definitely a flow for me there. I vibe there. I heal there. I get to release there. Yeah, and I think I'm a pretty good dancer. So there's also that.
Have you been dancing? Is this something that's like a part of your? Did you train to dance? Is this something that's part of your story?
Yeah, I mean, I was like a cheerleader in middle school. I was part of the hip hop high school dance team in high school.
Okay.
Aragon Dawn, shout out to the Aragon Dawn San Mateo hip hop high school dance team. So we did a lot of choreographing and did our hood stuff.
Yeah, so just a little bit.
Yeah,
I
just
mean,
a little.
I'm being facetious here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you love dance. It's a part of who you are.
Yeah.
So you've kept that.
And that's evolved. That's evolved. So then, I mean, just, my own free flow dance, and then I've been like practicing shuffle lately. That's been so learning is fun for me, right? And so I'm teaching myself like how to shuffle dance. So I've got like 3 steps down. Now I think officially I could say 3 shuffle steps down.
Wow.
So that's fun to me. Yeah, dance has been a part of my life. How do I do it? When I think of dance, I used to dance every morning, actually. I would have dance parties with my dog. Like, that's how much of a ritual and routine and, like, part of my healing that it was. Like, it was something that I needed on a daily basis. I would wake up in the morning, I would do my meditation, I would go for a run with my dog, I'd come back, throw on the reggae, cook my breakfast, and then just get after it for 10, 15, whatever, with my dog minutes. And we would have a little dance party every morning. So I keep that present, and it feels fun. It keeps me light.
I actually, I'm glad that you mentioned it as medicine because that's why I prescribed it as a coach. Like, I noticed that we were getting trapped in a culture of work. There wasn't a very much of a balance. And in CrossFit, like, we even measured our day in work. Work capacity, getting reps and rounds was a math equation. How much work can you do? That's the language that we used. You got to work hard, all these things. Well, if I'm like working hard at my job and then I go from working and really hard at my job to working really hard in the gym, and then everything, you start to adopt this framework that everything is work. And all work, no play makes Jack a dull boy. You know what I mean? And that means that, like, we've lost this sense of play. And so one of the things that was so startling, and as a therapist, I think you might find this interesting, is that there was a moment where I was doing both middle school teaching and coaching CrossFit. And I would notice how easy it was for the kids to drop into play, free time, do what you want. Whereas I tried to I would offer and invite the opportunity for adults to play in a way that was different and unpredictable, in a way that wasn't measurable in work. And they would freeze. Like they had lost it.
Right.
And I was like, oh, the exercise is important, but the medicine is in the fun. The exercise is valuable in terms of health, and keeping the vessel alive and keeping the vessel and feeling good. But the real medicine is the fun. And so it's like you were talking about dancing as fun and how it was literally medicine for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It was medicine for me. And it's interesting that you bring up like this kind of overlap between work and play a little bit, right? Because I've fallen into a trap before where I've turned my play into work. Like with CrossFit. So CrossFit, started doing my exercise thing there, got into the community, friends, socializing, having fun. This is play. It's exercise. There's an added benefit of the body sculpting. But I turned it into work because then I started coaching CrossFit. And then it became work. And so it changed the dynamic a little bit. I'm still kind of getting my serotonin and my dopamine, my norepinephrine hits mentally from exercising and working out and getting all those good things. And it's still medicine in that kind of a way and a little bit of play, but now I'm capitalizing on it and I'm turning it into work. And I noticed myself that it was a little bit of a pattern, because then I started doing that to yoga, then I retreated to yoga as my play. And I started doing yoga and I loved it. And then I started looking into like yoga teacher training. And it's like, wait a minute, what is happening here? Like my play should absolutely stay the play and stay the medicine versus turning it into work.
Oof. And life to me is just a balance of learning how to be serious about things. And by serious, I mean intentional, and how to have fun with things. And you can actually be intentional with your fun.
Yeah.
One of the things that's important to recognize about fun is that, or play, is that the action of it is the point. It's not to just doing it.
The action of it is the point.
Right. Whereas the workout, say, has a result in mind. You're going to do this. This is the result, or this is the result that you're seeking. Whereas play, I'm not seeking a result. I'm not trying to get to the finish line. I'm not trying to do any particular thing.
You're just being.
Correct.
You're not becoming.
Right. But when you're just being, you're not necessarily producing, because you're not in a state of production. You're in a state of being. However, so that's the counter argument to the play, is like, yeah, but I'm not doing anything. I'm not getting anything done. And it's like, no, you're missing the point. The balance is the point. Having time where you're not result oriented is the point. That's the performance enhancer, is just turning that other part of your brain off so it can rest. It can turn that part
naturally gets turned off.
Correct.
In play.
Correct. Because if you are in a way serious or in a way like really focused on an outcome,
Yeah.
there's a certain level of anxiety and fear built in that you're not going to get the outcome, and that changes from person to person.
Right.
Sometimes it's so
Well,
subtle
that
it
turns
doesn't
it
matter.
into work, right? Now you're trying to
Correct.
hit this measure that's been set for you, or that you have
Correct.
this expectation that you have for yourself.
So the state of play can't really exist in a state of fear, like true fear. Yeah. There's like, oh, I need to be in flow. There's like a flow portion to say, like, you see some crazy parkour guys doing things on edges of a building. There has to be a certain level of fear built in, but they've been able to train it so down that it doesn't impact their ability to touch the state. But it didn't happen their first time. It's something.
Yeah, and I think
taken
that's a
over us.
healthy fear, right? Like some of these fears and anxieties definitely keep us alive. Having a healthy anxiety, like you need to know that if you don't hit that next building, like death might be on the other side, or you might break a limb. So some of these fears and anxieties are good, but yeah, I think it's definitely a skill to learn how to like lower that to a point where you can find that flow and have that fun.
So, what are you going to do now?
For fun? Well, it sounds like we need to play a lot more and not capitalize on work. The other thing I was thinking about was connecting to people is a lot of fun for me. Like I talk about how I made that my New Year's resolution about eye contact and making eye contact with everybody that I come in contact with. But, it really is fun for me to sit in a space with another human being that's completely present with me and who I'm present with. And we are communicating and interested and care about what each other has to say. I mean, that's fun for me. And maybe it sounds, I don't know, a little foo-foo-y or whatever, but it really, it comes back to also this like concept of connection, right? Is like connecting with people is fun for me, and it's fun for me to connect with new people and to get to know new people. I've definitely been doing that a lot the last 5 months. But getting to sit with like your friends too, right? Like your people also. And just share these very real human experiences. Yeah,
that's beautiful.
That's fun for me too.
Well, I think that again, the being able to share that with other people is so impactful. And there's a lot of people right now that are scared and uncertain about what's next for them and next for the world, next for their government. So many things that are unsure, that because you and people like you are stepping into their gifts and learning how to care for themselves and teaching people to care for themselves, not just care on the physical side, to care for yourself emotionally. It's needed now more than ever. So I'm grateful that you got on the microphone with me.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I had a fucking blast.
It's a pleasure to be here and just to get to share a little bit with you. And
awesome.
Thanks for being present with me.
Awesome.
Thanks for sharing this very real human experience and being curious. I appreciate your curiosity and
endlessly curious. That's what this show is about.
And serious fun.
Do you have serious fun?
Duh.
Cool. Thank you, Ash.
Thank you.
See ya. Bye. Ashley.
Yes.
Tell me about your experience with The King Says Yes.
About my experience, you want me to describe what it was like? I don't know if I could put that into words. That was just so mind-blowing. I had no idea that I signed up for a Broadway show before I walked into my living room. It was such a gift. Let's see. It was interactive. I can now say that I've been to Jamaica, Mon. And I love reggae. Dude, reggae's my thing. So that was right up my alley. Just getting to vibe to some reggae vibes. That's always welcomed and feels good. The star of the show is one hell of an actor. So
thank you.
So although there was one actor, I truly felt like I was in the presence of 5 different characters.
Wow.
So that was a lot of fun to watch too.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was a really cool experience. It was fun to watch, and it was definitely more than than what I was anticipating.
What would you tell somebody? Because it's like, they hear like, oh, what is it's just a story.
No, it's an experience. It's journey. It's a journey. It's an experience. There's people that tell stories, and then I think they're storytellers. So
which one am I?
You're the storyteller. You're the storyteller. And the storyteller doesn't just have words for the story. The storyteller has actions. The storyteller, I think, also provokes the experience for you internally. I'm not just listening to you on an intellectual level and processing your words. I'm now feeling in my body like all of the experiences that you felt while you were in Jamaica, being held up and going through these different things.
What would you tell somebody who's on the fence, they're not sure if they want to come see the show? What would you tell them?
Shut that shit down. Go see the show. Yeah, go see the show. I would say you need to ask yourself if you like good stories and if you like to have fun. And if the answer is yes to either of those, go see the show.
Yeah, because what does the Queen say?
Yes.
Yes, she does. Thank you, Ashley.
Yep.